Hello, welcome to Connection First. My name is Fabi. Always so happy to be chatting with you. We are super excited here because it's the last week of term. It's exciting, and at the same time, it's always busy because I'm trying always to get so many things ready before the kids go on holidays. And this week we are planning for our road trip. We are going on Saturday. We're going to drive 10 hours up north to Gold Coast. And it's always nice. We go to visit friends that we have there and dear friends that were in Sydney and moved to Gold Coast a few years ago. And since they moved, we have been going every single year, which is always exciting to catch up with them. Anyways, let's get on to today's episode. It's a good one. It's something that I have been meaning to talk here for quite a while. Let's start first with boundaries, and then we're gonna go about saying no and how to say no to our kids while staying connected with them, which is the main reason I wanted to do this podcast, because it's something that happens every single day. We're always saying no to something, and at the same time we're trying to work on staying connected and building this healthy relationship that we want to have with our kids. So if saying no is always challenging, when you are aiming to also do it in a way that you stay connected with your kids, it's harder. And I'm going to tell you what I have learned and what I feel works the best to make it work. Because when we say no coming from a wrong place, that can create the opposite. That can create lots of disconnection. When you talk about conscious parenting, the way that Dr. Shefali, whom I have been studying with over the last 10 years, conscious parenting, the way she describes its boundaries and connection are both two wings of the eagle. So the eagle can't fly without either of those. So they are both as important, boundaries and connection. You need them both. Being a conscious parenting, being a gentle parent, doesn't mean that you're going to be saying yes all the time. But the problem is that many of us comes from a place where we grew up looking for approval, like approval seeking, and we want to please people around us and we want to avoid conflict. And it could be so easy to translate that to being a very permissive parent. And with the aim to protect our relationship with our kids and staying connected, make the mistake and say yes constantly. And we need the boundaries and we need to say no in order to, first, for the safety of our kids, but second, to protect our relationship. We need the boundaries to protect that relationship. You need boundaries in any relationship. And I gave one example a while ago, and I'm going to tell you a very practical way in the sense of how not having boundaries can create disconnection as well, and why we need those boundaries to protect that relationship. There was a Friday morning, Matthias, my 11-year-old, he was 10 back then, he was reading the magazine, the Nat Geo magazine that we always get. It's lovely. It has always nice recipes that kids can make on their own. And Matthias came up with one recipe to the kitchen. I'm busy making lunchboxes, and he came up to the kitchen saying, "Hey, Mom, let's cook this." And that moment, I was like, oh, yes. And me being that parent that wants to make it fun for my kids, and it's Friday morning, of course you can. Let's come on. He came to the kitchen in the middle of my morning rush, making lunchboxes and everything. And he started cutting like tomatoes because it was some eggs to bake, like baked eggs that he needed to put in the oven. And he needed to cut some veggies to put on top, and cheese and grating cheese. And I'm getting like this thing on my throat, like, oh my God, this is getting very messy and we don't have the time. And I have the clock in my head, ticky, 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 ticky. It's like, oh my God, we're going to be late. At the end, I exploded to him and I was like, we shouldn't have been doing this. Like, you shouldn't have, you're making a mess. And the problem was not that he was making a mess, not that we were running late for school. The problem was that I said yes in the first place. We need to be very clear with our boundaries. We need to be very clear when we say yes and when we say no, because there is a way to protect our relationship. And that's a very practical, simple example, but this translates to many different areas in our parenting life. So in terms of boundaries, we are going to have no negotiable boundaries that are the ones that the battles that you decide to pick as a family. In my case, for example, the Spanish, speaking Spanish at home, that's something that non-negotiable for us. It's part of our values. It's part of our big picture, the things that we want to work on as a family. Another one that is a battle that we decided to pick, if we talk about battles, is the screen time. And I have talked about here before. It's something that non-negotiable, having boundaries and creating limits around screen time and all of that. For you, might be something completely different. You pick your own non-negotiable battles. And it's important to have those clear, because those are the ones that are not open for negotiation. Okay. So if my child comes to me saying something in English, and I know deep inside me that this is a non-negotiable boundary, I'm going to be very clear. I'm going to be assertive. It's going to be obvious for them. They need that clarity for those boundaries. There are other boundaries that are negotiable, are open for dialogue, open for negotiation. And I have a big negotiator at home called Matthias, my 11-year-old. And with him in particular, I need to be very, very clear whenever there is a boundary that I'm establishing, if it's a non-negotiable or if it's negotiable. Because if I leave that room for confusion, he's going to pick it and it's going to create a lot of confusion around him. So once we're clear that we need boundaries, we need to protect our relationship, we need the safety of our kids, and we need to be able to keep those boundaries very clear, and we need to be able to say no many times in our everyday. Once we have that clear, that I wanted to make sure we covered that a little bit, we can have another conversation about boundaries in particular, because it's quite an interesting topic as well. But the reason I want to jump straight to saying no is because I want to share some ideas with you that is going to help you feel more empowered whenever you have a clear boundary, whenever you are saying no to one of your non-negotiable boundaries, or no to something that your kids are asking that for you is a big no, and how to do it in a way that doesn't create disconnection, but it's going to help you stay connected with your kids. So you're not a permissive parent. You're not saying yes to be because you're afraid of your kid's reaction. You're saying no, you feel empowered, but you do it with connection. So the first one that I want to mention is don't let fear overtake. Many times we say no coming from a place of fear already. We have the fear of a meltdown. We have the fear that our kids are going to hate us because we're saying no. We have the fear because we don't want to feel out of control, and we need to establish that and be very clear of our no because we want to be in control. Or we have a fear because many people are looking at us and we feel that we have to say no. When we come from a place of fear, the way we say the no to our kids is in a harsh way. It's a disconnected way right away, instead of being a calm and firm way. We need to come from a place of like, hey, I know this is hard, but I'm going to say it anyway. You need this no in this particular moment. And then we show more assertiveness. We show up to them in a more calm way. And when they see us like that, that translates in the way that they receive the no many times. We are more regulated and we show clarity, and they need that clarity from us. And a way to do this is, in a calm and gentle way, is to go to their level and show them that you are with them, not against them. So you're saying no, but you're not saying it with that emotion involved of like the fear inside of you. And connected to this is number 2, and which is very related because it's being empathetic. So going to their level and showing them that you get them, that you get that it's hard. Many times you don't really get it. Many times you feel like, oh my God, like, why is this hard for you? But you need to put yourself in their shoes. You need to imagine that you are a 3-year-old that is not getting what they really want for dinner, and you need to empathize with them and go to their level and say, you know what, it's hard. I have been there. Like yesterday, I couldn't have this and I had this. And using your own examples and your own personal experience is amazingly helpful. Like I still do it with my boys. Using a hug when they were little was incredible. For a toddler, saying no with a hug is amazing, because it's like, okay, I'm saying no, but I'm not against you. I'm with you. I'm here right with you. I know it's hard. I get it. That makes a difference. Is when you feel seen, right? As adults as well, when you feel seen and heard and understood, that makes always a difference, as you're coming from a place of connection. And with my boys, now that they're a bit older, it's really important. Like for me, with Matthias, with my 11-year-old, whenever I say no, if I say it in a very calm way, and then right away I show him, like, I know this is hard. I know you really, really wanted that. And I try to put his emotions in words, like, you feel frustrated, you feel so angry, you're super upset. That's a way to show that we empathize with them. Number 3 is the importance of remembering your why, which I mentioned briefly before. When we are clear of the battles that we want to pick, the boundaries that are non-negotiable, and the things that are important for you, then you know your why, and you're going to be a lot more clear in the way you express this. And for me, with my boy, that is the the one that I have been bringing up today, my 11-year-old, that is, is speaking, like trying to convince me the whole time and creating dialogues around everything, and like, why. I need to be very clear about my why and my reasons, and otherwise it creates a lot of confusion. Like just last night, I'm cooking dinner, they are not supposed to be on the TV during the week, no screen time during the week, and then he came to me and said, can I show you this video? And many times he uses that, and I know it. Like, I like it because he wants to show me something that he saw or someone told him about this video, whatever, and he wanted to show it to me. But it's also because he wanted to look at the screen, he wanted to have some time to watch the TV. And I was making dinner, and no, I wasn't even making dinner, I was in my laptop, I needed to finish some work, I was working on my computer, and he was doing the homework next to me, and then he said, can I show you something on YouTube? And it's like, yeah, a bit later. And it was super vague. I said, oh yeah, a bit later, you can show it a bit later. He went to the TV and he turned it on, and what happened? YouTube started showing shorts and nonstop videos, and one after the other. And 10 minutes later, I finished the email I was writing. I closed my computer. It's like, what are you doing? And I got really frustrated with him. It's like, why are you there? Why are you watching that? You have been there for 5 minutes watching TV and blah, blah, blah. And the problem was that the boundary wasn't clear. I wasn't clear about saying no. I should have said, no, you are not allowed to watch TV during the week. But in that moment, it felt easier to say, yes, we can watch it later. But that created confusion. And he even said it to me. He's like, Mom, you weren't clear. You literally said that we could watch it later. And I went to put it. I was waiting for you. So we need to remember our why. What was my why there? Well, my why is that we don't watch TV during the week. And, that's my topic, my personal one. You can choose yours. But it's very important to be clear on our reasons behind it. So because we are going to express our no and our boundaries in a much more clear way, and it's going to avoid confusion. The next one is quite personal because I think it's something that used to happen to me whenever my parents were saying no. And it's a way that creates a lot of disconnection and is completely opposite to being empathetic with our kids, which is try to avoid saying no and walk away. I remember many times when I was little, my dad in particular would say no, and then he would walk away. Like, there is no chance you can have an opinion about this because it's no. And I guess behind that was a bit of fear. Like, he didn't want me to convince him. He didn't want to confront that conflict of like back and forth of like, oh yes, please, why? But walking away when we say no is a way, the message that we are sending is that your opinion doesn't matter. Parents know better, and parents are at the top and you are at the bottom and you have no idea, and I'm saying no, and this is it. And when we show that, when we don't try to be on the same level, but we try to be on like in a higher level than our kids, that creates disconnection right away. So try, when you have the time and the capacity, to say no and stay with them. It's like, I know this is hard, you have an opinion, what do you want to say? Or if you don't have the headspace to be on that moment, at least you can tell them, we can chat about it later if you want to, but the answer is no. We are very clear. We go back to our why, put our fears behind, and we say it in a firm and calm way. And then we walk away and we leave that window of like, we can chat about it later. But I feel that's really, really important. So don't say no and simply walk away, because that's a way of saying, well, your opinion doesn't matter. And we want to, we are trying to raise here kids that find their own authenticity, right? Like, you want to show them that they have an opinion that matters and you value that opinion. So that's very important. And the last one that I want to say, another small tool to say no but stay connected, is try to be flexible. Don't turn everything onto a fight. Pick your battles. As I said before, establish your boundaries at home and decide which ones are non-negotiable, which ones are a bit more negotiable, and go from there. Try not to pick a fight on every single thing. And let me go back quickly. So the first thing I said in order to say no, staying connected, was don't let the fear overtake. Second one, be empathetic with your kids. The third one was remember your why. The fourth one was don't say no and walk away. And the fifth one, be flexible, pick your battles. I think that's very useful. Honestly, I put this together based on the courses I have done on this topic, on boundaries in particular, and the principles of conscious parenting, but mostly on my own personal examples. And I feel saying no is part of our everyday. So I find keeping this in mind is super useful, because you want to be able to say no many times without creating that disconnection with your kids. And this is a way to do it in a gentle way while you keep your answer as no in this case. Anyways, I hope this was useful. If you have any feedback, please let me know. I would love to hear from you. If you enjoy this episode and you feel that it's going to be useful to someone you know, share it, please. Subscribe to the podcast as well, and keep doing what you're doing. We are all doing the best we can with the tools and the information that we have. And I really, really hope this was helpful. See you next time. Thank you for being here.